Hello, everyone. I'm super glad to be back with yet another episode of Product Talk with Malthi, and of course, our the live webinar series that we are doing, which we started a few months back. So I'm hoping all of you have had a great festivities, Diwali celebrations, and super pumped up to be having this conversation and to have Muthu here with us today. Welcome, Muthu, to this episode.
Thanks, Malthi. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. And Muthu is somebody whom I have known for the longest period of my time. He has been mentor. He has been somebody with whom I have worked in various capacities, setting up our community within and the organizations where we both were working at that point of time in SAP Labs India. And there have been a lot of different times, where we have kind of exchanged notes, ideas, and we together, I think both of us have more than 50 years of overall experience, and a significant number of that in building products, right? And together, I think we have seen many of these different waves coming and going in terms of our journey of building products. And I think right now the space we are in is a very very significant one, a very very disruptive one, right? And that's why when I was kind of thinking about that, what does this mean for the industry, what does this mean for people who are building products, I could not think of anybody else but Muthu, right? And to give you some new fun facts about Muthu, while he's a very, very known and popular person in the product development, product management space for tech products, he's actually a chartered accountant by from his academics, and he has spent some significant years at PepsiCo and with Arvind in his finance avatar, right? So, welcome again, Muthu. I'm looking forward to have some fantastic conversations in the next 1 hour.
Absolutely looking forward, Malthi. Yeah.
Yes. So, Muthu, as I said earlier, right, this is a very, very, I would say, significant, disruptive, innovative, overwhelming. I think that there are a lot of, when I ask people that what does AI feel to you, people give me a lot of different adjectives, right? Now, you are somebody who's been very, significantly placed in, especially in the enterprise world, and that's going to be our focus for the conversation today, right? And after, while AI and ML has been there for many many years, but I think Chat GPT democratized it, right? And I think a lot of organizations in the last 5 to 10 years have started looking at what does AI first means to them, right? So, in your journey, what do you think truly, separates from somebody who's actually on this transformative journey of AI versus somebody who's just getting started, experimenting? How do you see that?
Yeah. So, what's really fascinating, Malti, is when we talk now to see as a product, enterprise software product companies, and wherever I work with, what we kind of we go and talk to CIOs and sometimes to business leaders, right? But with AI,
Mm-hmm.
what is happening is it's become a CEO level conversation. Like the first time we see that uh, CEOs don't get involved with technology transformations. Of course, they probably sign off the final check, maybe, but they don't get involved so much into tech related investment. But what really we are seeing now is that it is a CEO level conversation, and they are pretty much interested on how AIs can gonna help the company with growth. Primarily they are very very interested in customer experience and how they can be more competitive. So you see people like Anand Mahindra or any of the leaders we see, right? They are constantly now pushing the thread around how AI can be helpful, and that has become a very very significant change. And so it's a board level conversation. So boards are discussing how AI
Hmm.
is going to impact, and it's not just a tech thing, right? It's a very business centric thing. That's what I see as a big trend or a big shift and which is exciting for us because we are product guys and we generally love now that we get that attention from the CEOs and the boards. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a fair, and I completely agree. It has to actually start from that leadership mindset and those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Now, one question I have is that, see, I think one of the biggest wave which we saw before this whole AI thing probably was the cloud migration, and the especially in large enterprise organizations where there is so much of legacy systems, legacy baggages which are there. Now, if I have to just connect these dots, how do you see these conversations which are happening in the boardrooms or some really with senior leadership, executive leadership? How does that trickles down to the execution level, right? Does it sit at the data? Does it sit at the product? Does it sit at the process? How do you see that trickling down?
Yeah, see, look, it's not from one place, it's all together, right? It's all coming together is what I would
Hmm.
say, right? So AI adoption is coming
Hmm.
from, like, if you look at it, different directions. One could be customers are expecting more. Obviously the users, the customers, they are expecting something significantly because they have started using all the consumer apps we use, that is all AI enabled, right? So obviously they're expecting the same thing in the business software side also. And then of course the competition, like every company wants to be uh, looking at what their competitors are doing. So if competitors are picking up AI, if I am not doing that, again it's a FOMO scenario for AI, right? It's really very important that people, and of course as I said, no, it's coming from the board level, and also very importantly now for AI, data is the front and center. You need a lot of data, and therefore there is also a lot of initiatives to first fix the data, like try and ensure that we can build a very good data foundation, connecting all the data, cleansing it, making the data available so that that can be used for the purpose of AI. So it's coming from all these angles, I would say. But primarily if you see, of course it is a leadership, a push for sure. And we all know that when leadership pushes some things, it definitely becomes the mainstream and gets the attention. In the cloud journey, it was more of CIOs. It was a little harder to pitch this to the, like, to the business and things like that. But business started doing their own small things because with cloud they didn't need IT guys, right? They could just go and pick a cloud based solution and start using on, they can only manage things and do it, right? But with AI, the whole thing is now shifting in a different angle, with all these different buzz around everywhere. So that is where the AI is really kind of coming, all things coming together, and it's becoming a shift from how to shift from the legacy systems or the different things, the way people do things, and all that is happening quite in a big way. Yeah, I think looks like we lost Malti, but I think it's that's one of the core of like the AI, right? And we also see that certain industries are really picking up AI in a big way. Like if you see financial services, retail, and hospitality industry, these are kind of the industry which are taking that AI maturity. They are taking it further into a better curve, whereas the or trying and doing that better. Whereas if you look at other industries, they're all catching up, but obviously the some of these industries are really the big ones, which are really driving the first advantage. But again, as I said, there is pressure from the board. There is pressure from all sides to make these things available. So we're just still waiting for Malti to join back. I think she has some, hopefully she'll resolve her technical difficulties. But let me kind of continue on this certain areas of exploration, right? Like when it comes to AI, one of the things which we see is that um, what is it different, what kind of problems are people picking up, how do we decide which problems we should be solving with AI is a pertinent question which keeps coming up. And it's a definitely a very important consideration when what to pick to solve with AI. And what we are seeing is most organizations want to start with something where they can see some quick wins, like maybe automating some simple workflows or generating some summaries which could be used as part of their job. But that's kind of like, let's say, the pilot or the first phase. But most importantly, they have to once that initial excitement settles, the real opportunity is to solve complex problems, complex high impact problems. And that is going to be very very important, because unless you can really solve some high impact problems uh, which needs a lot of intelligence and not just automation, that is where you could see a lot of value with the AI investments or the AI initiatives, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples here on this one, right? One is think of HR. When we look at HR as a function, where do we want to invest and get some great benefit with AI? If you look at HR, the first thing is obviously you could do with AI, you could do automating some leave requests and things like that. Those are smaller, not so impactful use cases. It might be helpful to some extent, but where could it be very, very compelling? It could be when I could scan thousands of resumes. I've got a job description and I can scan thousands of resume and find the right fit. It takes a while to get the right talent for the right role. So if AI can really pick and solve for that best fit candidate, it can be very very compelling. The other example of that could be that uh, if you take when I want to do use prediction, I could be looking at predicting revenue could be more compelling and more like it could get more value with AI versus predicting some cost where I do already have control over it, right? So I don't have to necessarily spend a lot of time and energy in those use cases. So essentially, looking at solving for the most impactful use cases is where people are going to see a lot of value with AI. Otherwise, obviously, you could do things, but it's like, think of it, right? Classically, when AI first came, uh, it was trying to identify whether the picture is a dog or a cat, right? Okay, that's a big one to solve with something with AI, but that is nothing great for humans, right? But what can be challenging for humans to solve, if that can be solved by AI, that is where it becomes very very impactful. That's what we are seeing, that people after their initial excitement, now they want to look at some great outcomes of AI. And that is where the board attention and the CEO attention will really resonate well, right? So that's kind of the thing. And Malti, uh, I know you had some difficulties, but I just continued on the theme of like what are the use cases people are picking up for UI for AI. That's what I was kind of highlighting, and maybe we can continue our discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Muthu, for holding the fort there. I seem to be having some very unexpected issues with all type of my hotspot not seems to work, my Wi-Fi not seem to work. But I'm glad that you kind of
Yeah,
spoke about
we need AI right for this also. This is we need AI for this. Yeah.
I know. So Muthu, you kind of spoke about how the leadership mindset is needed in order to drive that. How do we apply that critical lens when, especially when we are evaluating the UI use cases? I kind of heard a little bit around that, but I'm sure that you kind of talked about specifically. I heard the part where the technology lever, which cannot be solved with the regular traditional technologies. That is where AI technologies has a very lot of value to be added over there. Now, one question which I have is in the space of ROI, right? Because I think since the time, especially in the last 3.5 years, we all know that a lot of organizations have been experimenting to see whether one is to build their talent, one is to build their culture, to understand what even building AI products means. And when I look at a McKinsey report versus a PwC report, I see that there are a lot of organizations still in a POC stage. Some of them have crossed that chasm to be able to put it in the production. Some cases it is worth, some cases it is not worth. But especially deeply rooting on to enterprise use cases, how are you as a product leader, if you are bringing in AI into your products, how are you looking at ROI?
See, look, we can talk from the product side of that is our side where we are building the product. The other side is the
Hmm.
customer side when they are adopting
Right,
AI. What is the
right.
ROI, right? The ROI should not see one thing is ROI should not be looked at it from the lens of just monetary terms or the business value with AI, right? The very important thing here is that uh, how it can be transformative. And sometimes what happens is uh, when we talk about the ROI, it could lead to some great benefits in terms of getting it may not get you so let's say you're doing a POC, right? So POC may not get you that result what you are expecting, but the one kind of thing which stands out with my when my SVP, we were doing a POC for one of the customer was trying a POC with one of our AI
Mm-hmm.
products, and then the
Mm-hmm.
customer said like it was bumping into some challenges on like how good it is and things like that, but it was a lot of learning. It was a lot of learning, and when we were sharing that update to our SVP, he was immediately asking us, is this improving our product, is this helping our product become better? Because it's a huge learning we are going to get out of this. Nobody knows everything upfront, right? It's a new thing. It is depend see again, it is dependent on so many factors, dependent on the data which is available. It is dependent on the use cases which they want to solve, and multiple criteria. There are dynamics within the organization between the actual consumer or the users as well as the team which is trying to do this. So there are different aspects to it. So at a very important layer, the ROI, if it can be leading to some great learnings, and it will help you improve the next time, or you're setting up yourself better for doing the AI, that it's a great win. Obviously, end of the day, you want some good ROI, some good factors, and that's where what happens is that you were like, if you kind of flip it to what are the hidden costs or the various aspects associated to it. uh, the main thing is it's not about the cost of the technical aspect here when it comes to AI. It's all human, right? Like how can I make the skills like people always have a fear that whether even the top talent in every company, right, they will have a fear of whether my skills will become less relevant now with AI. Now the
Correct.
it's actually the opposite. If they embrace AI, they are going to be, because see, they can send good prompts and get better, like they know their subjects so very well, so they can get a lot more value with AI, and they can also structure things better. And it's very important that there is a lot of education done within the organization. And it should not be an AI initiative, definitely should not be like any other automation ROI product, right? Like where you say, okay, this does some changes, so you get some ROI because of this, right? Like it should not be measured very narrowly that way. It should be broadly managed, right? And that's where there is a difference between, even the cloud was a bit of a technology shift, right? It was definitely an ROI, a business ROI based thing. Even now, a lot of our customers are on prem, and when they move to cloud, they can look at it that way. But AI is more psychological and cultural shift. It's a massive different approach. And that's where you'll have to weigh in and figure out how you kind of take care of all that. And ROI should be in that thought through in that context, is my belief. And that's what I
Yeah,
can
yeah, no, absolutely, you're
right now.
right. Because there are so many things that an organization is doing for the very first time. For example, I've spoken about this example, right, where one of the startups with whom I was working last year, we came up with this whole new initiative around search, right? And according to the data that we had, we said, oh, this is going to be like a 3 month project for us, for us to come up with the first POC. But when we started doing that, we just realized the messiness of the data that we had, right?
Yeah,
And instead of to be able to complete that POC in 3 months, in that 3 months, all we did was basically just looking at what is the data that we had, the cleansing up of the data, the format, how much data that we need. So then you are right. It is about, we are kind of discovering what is our asset, is it in a right good shape, building the skills for the team, even understanding those unknowns in a AI product development life cycle, right? And I think for the customers, they are still trying to figure out what really is the benefit. Is it the
yeah,
efficiency? Is it the automation, augmentation, whatever it is, right? So
absolutely.
completely agree. There are some questions coming our way, Muthu. Probably one
Yeah.
of the questions which is kind of more related to the first one is, how do you manage the pressure from management who keep on insisting on including AI when you as a PM don't see the necessity with the current state of the product?
First of all, why don't you see that? That is very important. We see again why there is a reason why management or leadership is pushing this, right? So it's not like it is real. It is real, and it's like a lot of us do not want to change, right? We like to be means obviously, if you look back 20 years back, certain things are more comfortable. We are very happy with what it was 20 years back, right? But the things change, and you'll have to adapt to change. And the same thing as a PM, you cannot you have to understand that AI is going to be helpful in every aspect. I'll give a simple example. Like when we do like a webinar, like we do a lot of our product sessions, right? We go and present it to our customers and stuff like that. Now earlier, I'll sit and write an abstract. I'll talk about what they are going to learn from the session. Now I can always, whenever I want, I can take the help of uh, AI to get me a more structured, very good abstract. It's a simple example I'm giving you, but that is what it is helping us. So if you're not adopting to that, you're going with what you can do better. But take the help of the AI. And similarly, anything you are doing in your product, it's better to look at AI as a very good enabler, good feature in the product. And we always when some leadership, actually it's the other way. If the leadership is not interested in AI, you're in the wrong company for sure, right? If they are giving you that incentive and push, then you are in the right place, and you should take it that way and definitely move on and pick that up for sure.
Absolutely. So I think very recently, Muthu very well said. Very recently, I was in a round table, and some of the other leaders who we spoke about, right? They were. It is not necessarily that. Definitely, you need to look at that in your current product that you have. How is it improving customer experience? How it can, help in probably building other revenue streams within the product. There are those lens and some of the other things which you kind of spoke about, those lens which we need to apply to see whether the current product can leverage the goodness of AI as a technology. But I would also say that, when you are looking at this larger canvas of AI strategy, you need to look at, of course, from a product perspective, but are there opportunities, for example, internal usage of AI, like the
Yeah,
demo aspect which you spoke about, right? What does it mean for the customer? So I think we have to look at it from a product, from a customer, as well as from the internal usage perspective.
yeah,
And I think we have seen more around us how AI is being used by the product teams more from a productivity, as a co-pilot mode, versus plus how it can be also the goodness can be applied into the product. Now there is
it's an
another
MBA.
thing.
We have said that as an one of the, like in our annual goals, we have said that as a goal for every PM in our teams, right? Like to make sure you use AI as part of your job
Uh-huh.
in whatever thing,
Uh-huh.
right? Whether it's for writing spec or building go-to-market material or whatever be the case, or even creating mock-ups, use AI. If you're not using AI, obviously you're left out. You're not leveraging things. So obviously that's a given, and people are definitely looking smarter now with AI, right?
Right,
And
right,
if
right.
somebody is not understanding that, oh, this guy is, they will think that you're smarter, but obviously we all want to look smarter. Doesn't It's fine if AI is helping us. Better we use that, right, to a good extent.
Okay, that's an interesting point, Muthu, and actually that logically takes me to my next question, right? I mean, as you said, most of the organizations have given access to, let's say, some of these prototyping tools. They have given access to LLMs, right? And it has been quite some time. So, and I know that different organizations are at different maturity levels from an AI perspective. But how are you truly measuring the benefits? What are the metrics? I mean, one very common thing which I look at here, especially which is very easily applicable to engineering teams, is the velocity from a delivery perspective. But when you are qualitatively looking at product teams, your own teams, what are the kind of metrics that you are looking at in terms of benefits of using AI in the day-to-day job?
Yeah. So see, really, if you look at it, when we talk about the benefits, it is the quality is the most important benefit we are getting. The quality of the
Mm-hmm.
output. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you can get some hours. You can save some hours, and you can do things faster. Obviously, you can iterate faster with AI, or you can obviously the other thing is you can scale bigger, right? So I'll give you
Mm-hmm.
an example of what we do, right? One of the things we do is we do design reviews of our customer documents. It's again a very good best practice as an enterprise software company, uh, for to ensure that the implementations are successful with our customers. What we do is we have a program where the customers can submit their design documents to us, and we review those documents and give back the feedback, and we just tell them that, do go follow this, go follow that, blah blah blah, like that, right? Now, traditionally, in earlier days, what we were doing is we'll get these documents, somebody sits and reviews the document in detail, and it is left to that person's scope of knowledge of what he or she is reviewing. and they'll do a decent job, right? Like they know they are the experts in their products and their areas, so they will point out all the challenges which has been missed out, and they will obviously reference a few things and everything, right? Manually they will be doing this and give back the feedback. Now now what we have started doing there is we are starting to use AI for this. Now with AI, what is happening is that it is not set to the mood of that person on that day when they're reviewing it, right? AI makes sure that we have already fed to the AI that these are the things, these are the best practices, these are, so it becomes very comprehensive. And we have trained the AI to understand how we are reviewing the earlier documents and what kind of output. So it has learned by understanding so many different permutation combinations, and then it also has the comprehensive set of things which has to be taken care of. So when it comes up with a response, it is very detailed, nothing is missed out, the quality is super good. And what that leads you is that when you go and give this back to the customers, they are obviously wowed by the response. Now again, it's not about just I'm just doing like a chat bot, AI is throwing everything, right? I am also including my own perspective into it. Of course, whatever the AI gives me, now I can further tweak or make some changes, and then finally I give it back. So the quality is significant thing, or the best thing which comes out. This was just an example. Same thing you could do for anything in the product, right? Better UX, better specs, better QA, test plans, coverage, so many different things. So the quality becomes such a very good thing here, and that's the best. I would say the best. I would say why I'm so excited about AI.
Yeah, yeah. And it becomes also more standardized, and it's like cumulatively, consistently improving,
Yes,
yeah, irrespective of who in the team has reviewed it, right? So,
true,
yeah,
true, exactly.
that's a great use case. Yeah. There are some more questions here
Sure.
that I'm going to bring up, Muthu. There is a question from Suparna which says that what is your opinion about a single person running an operation where AI plus non-AI solution is required? So there's a human in the loop. From enterprise level, are there thought of any delegating these type of tasks to
Yeah.
individuals, especially after signing an NDA?
Yeah, so the beauty is that I can hire an AI assistant now, right, to do my job. So I can do everything. Like people, there can be a lot of more things can be done by the person, or even that person could get some more hours in their. They can get more free time, right? So it's about like you can run with a single person doing a lot more things. uh, but again, I don't know whether companies will go totally in that direction. Companies will still really augment with AI rather than just saying that okay, this obviously some jobs will not. It will be kind of transition, but mostly people will do it. See, one good example I can give you in cloud. What happened is when cloud came out, as you all know, like there were in on-prem that you needed a lot of infrastructure people who will go and install, configure, all that stuff, right? With cloud, all of that is gone, right? Everything is automated and you get a URL to access your application, right? So that was obviously the infra roles had to reshift to some other things. They had to reskill and do something else, right? It's not like they're gone out of job. They'll figure out and get to some things different. Same thing is with AI. It will really help and push us towards a few things. So my opinion is like anything which is people relationship job, like anything. For example, I'm interacting with a customer, or I'm doing a lot of people related roles, primarily let's say customer facing roles and things like that. So think of like in a hotel, the person who's checking you in, uh, they could use AI, but those rules will still exist a lot, still continue to exist a lot. And you will obviously some things which are totally like manual. Mm, pulling some things and doing things in Excel and a lot of different things. Some of those kind of manual tasks which is not very people related, people centric, may kind of go back burner with AI. So again, it's not exactly the for the question, but broadly if you see, that's the kind of transition I think will happen with AI in enterprises.
Yeah, no, that's right. And we cannot have like a one size fits all kind of a thing, no, Muthu, right? Very contextual to the use case, very contextual to the maturity of that process, and a lot of those kind of things. So very well articulated. By the way, just there's a question from Venkat, which is kind of connecting to one of the other things which you spoke about, right? While uh, there is a lot of focus on AI, but it is indeed, especially in the enterprise world, there is a lot of constraint due to data, privacy, security. So you cannot be using all kind of tools, right? So that kind of also puts a little limitation of what all you can try and how much can you really start using these tools. So have you kind of seen any kind of best practices? What kind of tools are recommended versus how companies are overcoming these kind of constraints?
Yeah, again, see, security is definitely obviously a concern, especially the data security. And see, look, cloud, even in the cloud, a lot of people had that same concern, right? Like people said, oh, I don't want to put my data in the cloud. Even now, some banks and all, they don't want to put their data in the cloud. They want to keep it as a private cloud. So this is where you'll have to look at uh, how much guardrails you want to put in terms of the data. So there are like three things. One is I have the public data which I would like to use, which is going to improve my AI visibility. And then I have the private data, which is my organization's internal data, which I only can have for my own purpose, right? And then I will have this AI multi-model, the whole AI multi-model, which can really look at. So if you think of all these things together, AI can really take care of the constraints on how much I can use. Now, obviously, if you are going to use only your private data for the purpose of training your models and using things, obviously it is then it will only be able to do the job within the context of your organization boundaries, right? Can't go beyond your boundaries. So it might be very relevant for certain use cases where I don't want to go beyond my boundaries. But if I'm doing something like cancer research or this kind of complex problems to solve, I may need that aggregated data of different data, maybe remove the PI data and then come up with some aggregated data, which can then be helpful for me to uh, look at how this can be used. So obviously, if you are not going to, think of it like, for example, whenever we use some social media or Google or whatever, it'll ask for an acceptance. Like, so always I think of it like, if I accept, I get better experience because it is using it in a good way and giving me better experience. But if it is not, if you are not accepting, obviously you are losing out on what it can give you. It will only give you to the extent that your data is there, right? Like what data you are willing to share. It's the same with AI, right? Of course, security concerns are always going to be there, but as product managers, we are always like very positive. We want to look at the future innovation. If you want to look at innovation, you have to be ready to do and explore this and security obviously is a challenge, but that is for the legal guys to take care of, right? we can
Yeah.
we can just support the legal guys, but as PMs we should be uh, more open to exploring more. Of course, again, within the constraints of what we can do, what is public data versus private data, and then the cost benefit analysis goes by the kind of data which can be used, because it's all about the data.
Yeah. But I think that is very well put, Muthu. But if I have to be very specific, around you or with other folks, peers that you talk, have you really seen enterprises adopting tools like Lovable or Cursor
Yeah,
actually in the production environment?
yeah, we are using Lovable. We are using like, see, again, even ChatGPT. We have our own version of ChatGPT. We
Hmm.
we have a like a we have a sign up where we have a different, like, additional guardrails are added.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So your responses in a public chat GPT versus the chat GPT which internally we use will be slightly different, because it will,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
for example, if I'm sharing some data which is around some customer or some additional, it will immediately warn me about uh,
Hmm. Okay.
ensuring that I can take care of that. So obviously we are using multiple different tools, and we are encouraged to use, as I said, we have our MBO with using AI tools. So but it is about, there are additional guardrails for certain aspects which are put in. And then,
Right.
like, even our customers uh, evaluate, when it comes to evaluating and when they are going to do a buying decision with the product, when there is AI, obviously they have more questions. It goes through their legal, and it does take more time now for them to evaluate and buy the software, mainly because they want to make sure that everything is kind of covered. But obviously, when we are using internal tools, we are using along with some additional things, but we also use some public tools sometimes. And we have clear policy guidelines laid out, like how, what to use, when to use. It's very similar to what we have been going through, right? In the past also, always there is some internal constraints, even to use
Correct.
websites earlier. Early days, I don't know if the current generation even would know, when we started first time to even access internet, it was a starting, like there was constraint, like you can only use the internet for certain things, and certain uh, you can't even access YouTube or any of those
Correct.
things. Are We are well past those things, right? So I know that some of the Indian SIs used to have no like access to internet for the employees. So there are, like, again, every organization takes different calls there, and it's also a regional cultural thing, like certain parts of the world have more constraints and more guardrails versus the others, so you have to comply with all of those, and but you should start using, obviously you should start using, and we use all these tools a lot.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, I'm now going to shift gears a little bit, Muthu. And see, it is really good that organizations are embracing this AI first strategy, doing a lot of POCs, trying to see, okay, how do I improve the experience of the product or make the product more the sales. Now, this is a reality in the pursuit of making better products or even putting new products. Uh, there is a good amount of cost which is goes in this thing, whether it is an LLM cost, talent cost, GPU cost, hardware cost, whatever it is. Now, one of the principles, for example, which I talk about is that you think about that AI feature or that AI product when it is going to make your customer's life, let's say, 10x better, right? Because that is the power AI gives you, and it also comes with that kind of a cost. But the larger question is that is the customer willing to pay 10x price for that feature or for that product, right? And in my conversation continuously with a lot of product leaders, that is what I kind of constantly hear, that monetization, is the biggest challenge. The willingness of the customer to pay 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x, whatever is that x is, right? What is, and I have seen a couple of products like ServiceNow, Freshworks, they have been able to showcase some products where they've been able to start making some revenue. But
Yeah.
how are you thinking about it, and how what is kind of experience you have seen from customers?
Yeah, see, look, obviously there is a huge cost to the LLMs, right? So that is where, very importantly, it should be solving those challenging problems. If it's just
Hmm.
solving the cat versus dog problem, nobody's going to pay you that much because it's being done by AI. Nobody's going to pay you that big money, right? But is
Hmm.
it really solving some big problems, which is very difficult today? Like the agentic AI, again, if you look at it, agentic AI, it's like it's not just about like I had a discussion with one of the customer where we start off usually with a dashboard, right? You show a dashboard, this is how it is. Customer dashboard, this is like 10-year-old thing, right? I want to just ask a question and the dashboard it get created automatically, right?
Correct, correct,
So if
correct.
I'm paying for an AI, I need that kind of an experience. So it's always like that product market fit, like the real value of the feature should really dictate the way you could charge the customer. Now at
Correct.
a high level, we have always been putting all the AI features in our premium. So you always have the standard version and the premium version. So AI has always been in the premium version. So because obviously that gets you better revenue, and there's also a path for customers to upgrade to the from standard to the enterprise. It's a classical thing. Now my best kind of analogy is like the airplane analogy, right? In an airplane, when you fly an airline, you are in economy, you are in business, you are in fast, right? So each one gets different treatment. Of course, you cannot expect the business first class treatment by paying economy fares, right? Obviously you are expecting a different level of service, maybe, or you're getting some additional food or more space to sit down and all that. So again, if you look at AI that way, right, some basic features should be available in that economy bucket. Some more advanced features or more value creating features should be available in the business bucket, right? Now the ultimate thing is people want to solve some very very complex problem. That's like flying a private jet.
Hmm.
Obviously you cannot get it with this, right? You have to have a private jet. It's like a private jet equivalent thing where you're you're basically spending on some additional very advanced models. You're training again multiple trainings. You're employing more GPUs and stuff like that. So then the pricing also is like a private jet, right? You have to price it appropriately, right? But when it is standard and it's the basic AI feature is going to become standards. Like earlier days, the same thing happened, right? When we talked about all the BI, the business intelligence dashboards and all, it was a separate platform which you had to buy and all that. And you and I have been working on that forever for many years, right? But then
Hmm.
it became very standard. Like people expect that to be part of the product, right? It's there. Right? It's like that AI. Some of the AI basic features have to be embedded. So but pricing wise, I could price it at with my enterprise pricing license or little higher and all that, and eventually that will also become a part of standard. So you start with some premium pricing, but then after 2 years that becomes very standard, so it becomes to the other bucket. But really if you are looking to solve some very complex and you want to use some very high GPUs because you're solving for certain very important problems where there is huge business value, go for the jet, like private jet, right? So you can also price those appropriately. So that's the way I would
Correct,
kind of
correct.
think of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, that makes sense. But in general, Muthu, when you look around in the larger enterprise ecosystem, uh, what is your pulse check? Do you see the willingness of the customer to pay for it?
Absolutely, that's where it is CEO level CEOs can sign check easily than others. Right? That's why I started off with that, because it is a very CEO level, board level initiative. They can
Right.
throw some $1 million for an AI initiative very easily. They can approve, and they can, at least large enterprise, even small, medium businesses are really shifting and willing to pay if they see that kind of use cases which are getting solved. And that is the reason that it cannot be the simple use case. It has to be really good business cases solved very well. And therefore, and then also, it's all about the other thing I keep saying is, if I am better than my competition with my feature, I can charge a premium at least for a few years, right? Because I'm see, people do comparisons already, right? Oh, this versus that versus that. Like, if this is improving their overall work, obviously they are willing to pay a little more to this, right? Again, it's all about how you what the feature is and what is that you're picking to solve, right? That will definitely drive and I see customers are just ready to pay. But again, as I said, we are also trying to, we understand that we want, AI is a standard feature, it's becoming a standard. So you build in the feature in the app itself, and look at expanding the users or expanding the coverage of what your systems can be used for, rather than just focusing on just pricing separately for AI, right? Because that will
Correct,
not
correct. Make
sustain
it
for a
very
long
embedded.
term.
Make
That
it
will
very
not
embedded.
sustain. It might sustain for the private jet kind of use cases, some very very much just for the AI, but it is more indirectly, you'll have to price and monetize that, is what I
Correct.
think.
And make it very embedded in AI, right? I mean, if I have to take one example, for example, Riverside is a tool that I've been using for the last close to 2 years now for my podcast. And it just happened today morning when I was setting up the system. I realized that I've taken an annual subscription, and they had, there as a product, I can see pretty much every month there are new features. For example, now just with a pro package, I can create, let's say, like close to 20 plus reels
Oh,
in less than like 30 seconds.
wow. Wow.
Okay, and something that was costing at $180 annually now comes with $210 annually for the same package. But it is far more richer, and as you said, it is very embedded in AI, right? And very very delightful. So I think Riverside is one tool which I do believe has done it very very beautifully, and there are a bunch of others. And I think the other thing which I just want to add to also what you said, right? I think also there are, while a lot of example we spoke about was more around value based pricing, I think given that organizations are also kind of seeing what works for them, I think new versions of usage based pricing, I think AWS has been doing it forever.
Yeah,
Outcome based pricing, I also see them also taking much more central attention with
absolutely.
evolving in that space, right? Where
Yeah,
we
like
have
see, the
now
pricing model, like with cloud, the subscription based pricing took off a big way, right? See,
correct.
on prem, it was a big deal. We closed a big deal. We recognize the revenue. Whereas this is where I'm wearing my CA hat, right? As you can see. And then the second one, like the subscription pricing, like it's an ongoing subscription. It's a different pricing model. And then the usage based pricing, going back to things like how we use utilities, right? Like electricity or whatever, we pay by usage. It's like that model. So you will have
Correct.
to innovate. You'll have to look at all these different pricing models, and then maybe because now, let's say, as an enterprise software company, we have both the on-prem model, which is kind of like I just sell and I get a full license, or I'd have the subscription model, and then I have now the usage model for my platform services. So depending on what you're building and selling, you could structure your pricing to be very very differently. And even
Correct.
AI can help you in that also, framing what will monetize for that, right? That also it can help. So again, take use of that, and it's a very fascinating area. Like the whole monetization itself is a huge area with AI. Like we have like very very nice thing. Say one of the thing is, if you are a SaaS provider and you are doing user based pricing, right? Now it is a flip side, right? We are saying AI will reduce the number of users, hopefully, right? Like, then what happens then? My licensing model, if it is I'm user based, then my monetization is going to come down. But we'll
Correct.
have to then innovate and ensure that the human element is brought in also with AI. So we are all innovative guys. We'll figure that out and ensure that we can monetize these features. And absolutely, companies are willing. That one thing is very clear, they are willing to pay for these service if they see that impact. And like, one of the most difficult customers, I would say, not to belittle, but Indian customers very hard to sell to business customers in India. Obviously they see a lot more value to buy anything. They also are now very eager to be ready to pay for the AI capabilities. That's what I would
Correct.
say.
Yeah, I think, and you kind of brilliantly put it, right? As long as it is solving a big problem for me, um, my customers will open up their purses.
True.
Yeah. Now, I know we are almost over the time, but I definitely need to ask this question, right, Muthu? Now, AI has kind of penetrated into pretty much every function. Now, with every this kind of a revolution, there are new roles and skills that emerge, and there are those that fades away. In your assessment, what are some of these new roles which are emerging, and what are some of those which you see are fading away?
Yeah, see, I have a different take on this. It's not about, of course there will be some roles here and there, like how we keep saying product owner, product manager, blah blah blah, right? Like you can create more roles like data strategist, data engineer. Obviously there are, like, but I feel that it's a very skill based thing, right? With AI is as a skill, like every person needs to have that AI skill now, and they have to
Hmm.
train themselves and get that AI skill, rather than just seeking to be only having a separate department or a few people who are going to do AI, right? But it also is about what kind of AI you are either consuming the AI, for which I need some skill set, or if I am building completely an AI product, that is different skill set I need, or if I am embedding AI into my existing products, right? That's another skill set I need. So it's kind of an intersection of all this, right? Like I'm building an AI. See, if I'm building chat GPT or I'm building some AI native product completely, obviously I need a lot more skills and I need that kind of different roles. But if I'm more of the business, corporates who are, or the companies who are consuming AI, I still need, I don't need a separate, I mean, I might need initially some separate data scientist team, and which is what existed many years back. Now I see that finance, who are our users, they have their own finance guys getting skilled on AI. Everyone goes through an AI kind of certification, or at least understanding what the basics of how the AI works, so that they can appreciate what it is, right? And that's where I would say the skill based thing is more than the role based change. I see the skills becoming a very pervasive skill across everyone, across whatever they do. And hopefully that happens, because that'll all help us uh, like do our work better, and things like that.
Correct, correct. In fact, like for example, I was recently talking to in one of my earlier episode to Piyush Berry, who builds voice AI agents, and one very new kind of a role that he spoke about was that people who design these conversations, right? For example, you need to give a script to these AI agents that when based on how the question is coming from the customer, let's say how they would be able to give a very personalized response to that. So he
Yeah.
said one of the basic things which they need in order to build these AI agents, voice AI agents, is somebody who can design these conversations. So you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, contextual to the use case, and if you are consuming versus you are building something, I think you kind of tend to have new roles coming out.
No, I see. Like as product managers, I always say that so you know something, or product manager or the startup founder, whoever that be, right? They know something very intricate about the problem, very
Correct.
deep about the problem. And then of course they have that mindset of solving it with a proper technology and all that, right? So that
Correct.
problem understanding deeply is continuing to, it will be, it still exists now. AI will help you solve it much much better at the
Yeah.
magnitude of like 1,000 times or whatever. But again, that problem understanding and knowing some intricacies of that particular industry, especially in corporate, in enterprise software, that's where it is very difficult for people. Of course, business, consumer software is different, but business software is even more challenging, especially the industry intricacies are so very different. So people knowing that particular area very well can shine very well.
Correct.
And
And that also becomes the mode or the differentiator.
absolutely, absolutely.
Correct. So we have two more questions, Muthu, if you have the time for that.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
question from Richa where she spoke about, asks, is India ready to do AI research for critical area like clinical research, automotive, at college or academia level, right? And I know that you are also involved in some of those connects with academia. You also teach in some these things. So any thoughts around that?
Yeah, it's again, it is there. Obviously, the government, central government, is definitely pushing a lot of initiatives where they want people to use AI in research, in education, and things like that. But I would still say that it's still behind, quite behind. But I think with all this push and everything, people hopefully will pick up and do more research, and we need to do a lot more deep dive research, like how Sridhar Vembu keeps saying. I know you guys probably have heard him. It You have to really go deep on topics for us to become a good product nation, because otherwise we'll be just solving the assembly line, not the real core, right? So we have to really go and focus on doing a lot of AI research, and at the educational front is where we have to start exploring a lot more. And I'm hoping we can at least pick up the quantum wave. If not the AI wave, I don't think we really beat that, but at least the quantum wave, we should be able to pick that up and do something amazing from here. But yeah, it is there, but it is just that we have to ensure that and this is a big part of, as a product manager, is the monetization of the thing, right? Like we are good at building some things, but how do I monetize, how do I market it, how do I do the GTM? We are lacking in, at least in the tech product space, whereas we have done that very well in other businesses, traditional businesses. But in the tech product space, for us to be like pretty compelling globally, we need to do that also. Like we have to see if we can convert those ideas and the research into innovations which can be monetized.
Yeah. And at least based on, I recently spoke to Mr. Sharat Sharma, and more I read around geopolitics, I think government is also taking those initiatives to bring in some research talent back to India
Yeah,
and to encourage that. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is one last question from Vishnu Muthu, which would love to get. He has put it. He's asking, would it be possible to link an already existing AI tool to my app? Whatever question user asks on my app, they can get the answer. Is this even legal?
Yeah, it's possible. Like there are like custom, like a lot of people are doing that. There obviously ChatGPT has a big API library. You can always plug those ChatGPT API library to your thing, and then it can get you the answers and things like that. So people have, a lot of people are doing that already. And see, the when it comes to the monetization for ChatGPT, the biggest monetization, as Sam Altman says, is I want to expose more ChatGPT, make money out of my APIs, because that is
That is
the
correct.
big
That is
path
why
for
he even
them.
came with the
Yeah.
India-friendly budget planning, pricing
Yeah,
plans.
exactly. Pricing planning. And Also, API as a revenue stream, right? They want to expose APIs and make money out of that because it's like an OEM. They can OEM that to into any other product,
Correct.
and then they can make money out of that.
That is
Absolutely.
correct. That is correct. And I think a lot of companies are already doing it, right? Where they're leveraging these LLMs, APIs, and then augmenting with their RAGs or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I think it is kind of a very contextual to use cases, but the goodness of LLMs is being definitely, I think, explored
Yeah,
and
very
exploited in
simple,
multiple levels.
very known example is the Microsoft Excel Copilot, right? That obviously is using ChatGPT behind the scene, but it's embedded. That's a
Correct.
larger scale thing, but any product can use it. If it is contextual, you can obviously connect ChatGPT APIs and do it.
Correct. Correct. Yep. All right, those were some of the questions. I definitely had a lot many more questions, Muthu, but I know that there is so much we can cover and we are well beyond our time. But I really really appreciate you taking the time out, Muthu, and thanks for some wonderful questions. This is one of those sessions that I'm doing where there are so many questions coming from, and I can already see some lot of goodness that folks who are attending have kind of are walking away with. So thank you, folks, on a Saturday, spending this time with us, and thank you, Muthu, always like for sharing some wonderful nuggets and wisdom with the audience. This recording will also be available in our podcast episode in the YouTube, and we are also doing a live, so this will also be available in our LinkedIn page. So those details will be can be if you can go to the YouTube channel, you will find the episode out there. Thank you so much again, and thanks, folks. Have a good rest of the weekend. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Muthu.